Yo, what is going on, guys? Welcome back to the live show, Detroit Lions, San Francisco 49ers pregame show. I am your host, Tyler, joined with two guys. As always, Mr. Malcolm Hart. Here, boys, how are we feeling today?
Feeling great. Monday Night Football, prime time. I can't wait, bro. Let's get this thing going.
Woo! What's going on, everybody? Man, yo, I feel great, man. A little pissed off about the Packers letting us down, but hey, we control our own destiny. Let's let it happen.
Well, both teams have controlled their own destiny now at this point because Week 18,
right.
on the line, Ford Field, Sunday Night Football, Lions, Vikings, winner of the first seed and winner of the NFC North. I believe this is the first time ever in NFL history that's ever been the case where you're fighting for the one seed and a division all in the last game of the season. So making history. But let's get into this game more importantly. But before we do that, did you guys have any hope for the Green Bay Packers yesterday? Because I absolutely did not. I knew this was
Man,
coming
I don't
down to
really
Week
care
18.
about that game. That's over with. I want to focus on this game than the Vikings game.
Yeah, I mean, I had a little hope, man, but they let
I'm never going to trust Jordan Love again.
That was
I'm
fun
not
to think, bro. Those cheeseheads are so bad, man. I can't stand
suck.
them.
They suck.
They suck, man.
They're bad. Their defense look like I put it on Twitter, like their defense looked like us 2 years ago.
Yeah, and their offense,
yeah, I mean,
their offense can't, and their offense can't move the ball until the last 5 minutes of the game, and they want to make it a ball game at that point. So.
FTP.
FTP always, man. Hey,
Yeah.
you can never trust them for anything, man.
Yeah,
never trust for anything good. All right, let's get into the inactives for both these squads, and then we'll get into a little bit of this game. Let's start off with the San Francisco 49ers. Anyone have the San Francisco 49ers inactive report? If not, I got it right in front of my face.
I got it right here.
You got it? All right, go ahead, Pierre. Go for it.
Here we go. Where's there it is. Quarterback Brandon Allen, that's their emergency quarterback. Defensive end Robert Beal Jr., linebacker Drain Greenlaw, who's their starting linebacker. Offensive lineman Spencer Buford, cornerback Shavarius Ward, defense tackle Khalil Davis, and running back Israel Abani Kanda. I think I said his name right. Did I?
Yeah, man.
That's pretty
You
good.
killed that. Let's go.
Yes, sir. I believe Buford.
I
I believe Buford. I'm not mistaken, is their starting center. So he's out. Let's make sure right here.
I would have destroyed that name. Jesus.
No, I'm sorry, Jake Brendo. My bad. I got it mixed up.
Niners missing a lot of guys, man. They have a lot of guys on IR. Obviously, their running back room is completely depleted. And then, now you're talking about some starters on this inactive report as well. So the Niners missing some guys for sure. And this is, a game that's not too important for them. They're out of the playoffs now. They're just kind of, I think, ready for Cancun at this point. So, Malcolm, what's the Detroit Lions inactive report looking like?
So the Detroit Lions injury report, man, the inactives. We're starting off with David Montgomery. He's not playing today. I think that's something that we all knew. Former, I'll say, state championship quarterback Teddy Bridgewater back on the team. He's inactive. He's going to be the emergency quarterback. Giovanni Manu is inactive. Coyote Ashika is also inactive. Kobe Sorzel is inactive. Jonah Williams, defensive lineman. You want to make sure you put that clear. Defensive lineman Jonah Williams is inactive. And then Broderick Martin, also inactive. Europe.
A couple things, Malcolm. Jalen Reeves-Maybin will be active today. He's playing. He's back from his injury. And then
that's huge.
Cornerback / DB, whatever, safety. Maurice Norris from the practice squad is active for the first time this year. And Emmanuel Mosley is also active. So getting some bodies in the secondary and linebacker room.
Getting Reeves-Maybin back is huge, obviously. Get some more comfortability at linebacker, a guy who could definitely start. And then hopefully you can get Anzalone back at some point. It looks looking like they could potentially start his clock as soon as, after this game this week and potentially get him out there for this Minnesota Vikings game. So that'd be huge. And then obviously for this playoff race, depending on where we're going to go, we'll find out after Sunday night versus the Vikings. So let's get into the elephant in the room, the big topic. All right. We've had, I think, this conversation every single year for different reasons. It's like, should we rest guys for the draft pick? Should we rest guys for the playoffs? We had this conversation last year versus the Vikings in a Week 18 game. And now you're in a situation, you're playing Monday Night Football. You're playing for the division. You're playing for the number 1 seed next week. This game, essentially on paper, not as important. There's nothing that could change as far as standings, like everything's on the line as far as next week, where this game really doesn't have that much impact. So the key question I'm going to ask, the Lions stars are playing. Dan Campbell already announced that. But I want to hear from Mr. Malcolm Hart. I want to hear from Pierre. I want to hear if this was you are in this situation, you have the call. Are you playing your starters? I'll start off with you, Pierre.
Let Malcolm go first.
Malcolm, I'll ask you first. Are you playing your starters?
Yes, I am. And I still have a bad taste in my mouth from that NFC Championship game from last year. So yeah, I am playing my starters. I am making this game a very I'll say Dallas Cowboys-esque type game as far as I'm unloading a lot on them just to prove a point because I am petty. But that's just me. That's how I approach it. But I'm pretty sure Dan Campbell's gonna roll it the same way, and I won't be surprised if they do unload it on the 49ers just for that whole NFC Championship game last year. They hold grudges, and I think we noticed that this team hold grudges, and I'm pretty sure they have a bad taste in their mouth from last year.
Yeah, no, they definitely hold grudges. They're definitely a very petty team. I mean, the Cowboys game was unreal. I mean, having a watch party, giving out the rally towel, saying I was eligible for the Ford Field watch party. Like, they are definitely petty. Try to get an offensive lineman touchdown versus the Cowboys to make a point from the Taylor Decker, missed call, whatever. So yeah, you're definitely right. They have some pettiness in them. They've shown it multiple times this year. So you are on boat with Dan Campbell. You're on boat with the Detroit Lions are doing. At least what he says he's going to do. We'll see what happens actually on the field today, how much they actually do play and what their roles are. But he did say they are full go today. They're going to play. But Pierre, I'm going to ask the same exact question to you. What are your thoughts on this game, and do you think they should be playing or not?
So I read an article earlier, I believe it was from Jeff Risden, Lions Wire today, and he made something interesting. He said the Lions are going to play this, but they should decrease their snap count. So I wrote this down. Sam Laporta played 92% snaps last week. He doesn't need to play as much this week, right? Amon-Ra St. Brown played 85. JMO played 83%. Maybe decrease those snaps by 10% or so. Josh Pascal, 70%. Zadarius Smith, 60%. Levi Onwuzurike, 62%. Jack Campbell, 100%. Even the secondary, if you're starting to win a little, you called up Maurice Norris. You got Emmanuel Mosley. So we'll see. But I would play them, but I would slowly decrease their snaps. If that makes sense. I read that article and I kind of agreed to it. So I'm using that Jeff Risden from Lions Wire, I believe it was. No, it's actually a doctor, Dr. Jimmy Liao from Lions Wire. So,
they have a doctor now?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know.
Shit.
It said Jimmy Liao, MD. So, yeah,
there it is.
So that's what I would do, Tyler. That's what he wrote, and I wrote those down in my notes earlier. So that's what I would do.
I'll say one last thing. I think they should play it, as the game goes.
Yeah,
I mean, this is a close game. You definitely want to win the game. I don't think
absolutely.
I don't think they're start pulling guys out and say, okay, it's a close game. Let's pull guys out and decrease their snaps and let's get ready for next week. This team wants to win every game, and they're playing to win the game, and that's what they're going to do today.
What are you, Triple H now? Time to play the game?
No, Herm Edwards used to say that. You play to win the game. You play to win the game. That's what he used to say, Herm Edwards.
Yeah. I mean, I'm in agreement with, I think, both of you guys to a certain extent. I think Pierre's point makes the most sense, right? Like, I think get them out there, let them get their feet wet. You haven't played since last Sunday. Big game. Yeah, you definitely have some vengeance. You want to get your revenge back. But I think you got to look at the big picture at the end of the day. I think you got to keep your guys fresh for the most part. I'm not saying necessarily rest all these guys. It's not a preseason game. You don't have a 90-man roster where you could completely rest every single guy in the game. But I'm curious to see how this does play out, because if it is a close game, are they going to stick to all their starters going to the fourth quarter, or are they going to lean to some of their backups and see what happens and just kind of get fully loaded for next week? I don't know what to really expect. Dan Campbell says we're full go. We're going to give it all our go this game. And I saw what that motherfucker did last year. I mean, we weren't really playing much for last year in that Week 18 game versus the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, technically, you could have jumped a spot in the seeding if you got some luck on your side. You could have went from the 3 seed to the 2 seed, and he went full throttle. He went all his guys out there. So this is a little different, though, because today you're literally not playing for anything. Nothing changes at all today. Everything is on the line for next week. So I don't know. Dan Campbell has shown me both ways. I could see him playing it smarter and saying, hey, let's get our guys out there. Let's play a little bit, but we're going to slowly pull them out of the game, and we're going to get ready for next week. But on the other hand, I could see them being petty. I could see them playing this full game and just wanting to prove a point to San Francisco 49ers that we're going to win this game and we're going to kill you with our starters. So I don't know where to really go. If it were me, I would slowly pull out the starters. I think you got to look at the bigger picture, man. There's a bigger game. There's more on the line next week. This game, with what's on the circumstances, there's just not much there for me to go full throttle and wanting to have all my starters out there all game. But I don't know. I don't know if Dan Campbell sees it the way I see it. So if it were me, though, I agree with Peter. I would slowly pull out the starters. I wouldn't play all my guys 100% of the snaps. Give these guys a little bit of a break. And then next week, it's all hands on deck, man. You got a huge game, number 1 seed, NFC North, home game. Let's get that bye week, get some extra rest going to the postseason. So if it were me, I'd slowly pull out the starters in this game. But who knows what this guy Dan Campbell's going to do in this game. This guy is the most unpredictable coach in the NFL.
I don't think he's going to pull starters out unless you're blowing them out.
Yeah,
but they're going to keep them in.
That's not happening.
Maybe they'll kind of decrease a little snap count, a little bit, not as high, but I don't think they're playing guys out.
That's the more likely scenario, is a decreasing snap counts. Dan Campbell's not going to pull guys.
No.
Best case scenario, we do just shit on them in the first half, get a big lead, play 3 quarters. Let's have a big lead going to the fourth, and then let's see a little Hendon Hooker in the fourth quarter.
Hendon Hooker, yeah. Was he Hendon Hooker? Yeah.
Yeah. Teddy can't play unless Hooker.
Exactly.
Teddy's the emergency quarterback. Yeah. But best case scenario, that's what it would be. I think they play a full 3 quarters, go hard, go win this game, have a big lead, and then the fourth quarter, you could fully take your guys out, and let's get ready for Minnesota next week.
I think that's their goal. I think that's what they want to do.
Yeah, that would be nice. If they could do that, that'd be nice instead of having a fully intense game. I will say this, though. If we get into a situation, let's say it is a close game, let's say hypothetically overtime's on the line. Do you think the Lions?
Go for 2.
I don't think the Lions are going to go to overtime today. I think whatever it is, I think you just try to end this game in 4 quarters. Whatever.
So you got to remember too, you got a long flight back to Detroit, and you're on a short week.
Yes. Yeah. I think if it comes down to a situation, yes, I agree. I think you go for 2.
Go for 2. Yeah.
There's no overtime. The Lions are not playing for overtime today. I don't think they should be playing for overtime today.
No.
Wait, how far is San Francisco from Detroit? It's not that long.
It's in the West Coast, on the 5-hour
flight.
Oh, I mean, you make it seem like they're coming from Miami to San Fran or something like.
No, I mean we're in the Midwest, so we're in the middle of everything.
Yeah, you got in the middle of everything. Yeah, that's not too bad.
Yeah,
it's not a terrible flight.
It's 4.5 hours, but in general though, they're not as long as their other hours were 2 hours, 3 hours. It's 4.5. It's a little longer.
It's a time adjustment too. You're 3 hours behind too in the clock.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's true. That's true, guys.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, there we go. That's that's the big question I think for the days people have been asking us, should you rest? Do you play these guys? So let's get into the actual game itself. Let's look at this Lions offense versus this San Francisco 49ers defense. Pierre, I'm going to ask you the question. What are the keys? Where should the Lions look to get started in this game early?
So the Niners are only allowing 183 yards per game, 6.6 per attempt, which is second best in the NFL. I would run the ball, and off the running game, get your play action game going. The Niners are 24th in run defense DVOA. So get Gibbs out to the edges, attack their edges. They're not good at setting the edge in the run game. You don't run up the middle. It's Fred Warner's there. So attack the edges, attack the backup linebackers, and go to work like that. That's obviously Gibbs' strength. Gibbs could run also inside, don't get me wrong, but his strength is on the outside.
Yeah, we saw that last week, man. I mean, he showed that he could be, the all-purpose back. He can do it all. So, just another game for him, another role for him to prove that. But what about you, Malcolm? What's something you look for this Detroit Lions offense to get involved today?
I agree with Pierre 100%, man. Sonic got to have a huge role today. And I think if we do that, I think you attack the 49ers' weakness as far as their defense. Because they're second-ranked defense. I didn't even know that their defense ranked this high. They're second-ranked defense right now as far as yards given up. So, yeah, you run that ball and you attack their weakness, and you put this game in Jahmyr Gibbs' hands.
Yeah, I mean, they're missing one of their starting corners, too, so that could open up some of the passing game as well. But obviously, I feel like that gets going with Jahmyr Gibbs. You get him going, and then, obviously, like we say it every single week, get that passing game involved, get that play-action game going, and then you could expect a bigger role for guys like Jameson Williams, Amon-Ra, maybe even Laporta as well. So it's going to be interesting. But, yeah, I agree with you guys 100%. You got to get this game going with Jahmyr Gibbs, and that's how they've been pretty much doing it. It's either Monty or Gibbs, and usually you like them together. But now the situation that you have right now, it's going to be Gibbs. So he showed last week he could do it. Let's do it again this week. Let's do it. So
the Lions have seen this defense too this year. A little versus Houston, and last week versus Chicago. A lot of single high, a lot of cover 3. As you saw, cover 3, they attacked. J-Mo had a big game last week. If they get those one-on-one opportunities, J-Mo beats his guy. I wouldn't be shocked to take a shot deep to him. But you mentioned they're missing work, but their corners are playing well, Tyler. They got Renardo Green, the second-round rookie. They got Lenoir, who's a nickel corner. And then they have Isaac Yiadom. He's decent. But overall, their secondary is their strength.
Yeah. That's what I saw from just looking at the numbers.
Their numbers, of what they've given up and haven't given up, I guess you could say more. Yeah.
Their safeties are decent, nothing too crazy. But their corners are solid.
I think, though, respectfully, you could look at the San Francisco 49ers defense, and it's still pretty solid, but it's not like a San Francisco-led defense I feel like you're used to looking at if it was last year or even just a couple years ago, right? They're depleted a little bit right now. It's not the same defense, and I think there's some weaknesses that the Lions could take advantage in this game.
Yeah, no, one obviously thing, the guy you circle, we always say it's probably Bosa and Warner. Bosa's going to see a lot of Sewell, and Warner's just a heck of a player. He's playing with a fractured ankle, by the way, and he's playing lights out still. I don't know how he's doing it. The guy's just a baller.
Might be the best linebacker in the NFL right now.
I think he is. I personally think he's the best linebacker. When you're playing with a fractured ankle and you're playing that good, that's pretty fucking impressive.
Yeah.
And for a Lions offense, you are plugging in Graham Glasgow. It looks like he's going back into that left guard spot after Mahogany having a very impressive debut. So big game for Graham. I think he has something to prove at this point. A little chip on his shoulder. He saw Mahogany ball out. I think he wants to prove that, hey, I'm still the starter. I'm still here. So big game for Graham Glasgow. He's back in the starting lineup. The coaching staff is very confident in him. So let's see what he does today back after an injury as well. You got your full strength offensive linebacker.
I wonder if he struggles a bit. Do you bench him?
You got Christian Mahogany lurking. That's all I'm gonna say.
The question gets bigger, right? I mean, we talked about it last week. He had a up and down month, right? And Mahogany balled out versus the Chicago Bears, and I guess you could take that with a grain of salt. I mean, you look at it both ways. It was his debut, very impressive, but you say, hey, we played the Chicago Bears, not the greatest competition. It is what it is. If he struggles today, I think the conversation comes more of a conversation, I guess you could say. I think people will start talking about it a little bit more, and it's going to get really interesting. I mean, we've seen this coaching staff not shy away from playing young guys. They're not scared of playing a young guy rather than, a guy who's making money on their team, a guy who they paid, right? They've shown that multiple times that they don't care. They're going to play the best players available. So, I would say it's a pretty big test for Graham Glasgow today because, like you said, Mahogany had a good game for Chicago, and like Pierre said, he's lurking. So there's only so many more bad games you could stack up before I think this coach staff would be ready to pull the trigger.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right, let's switch gears to the defensive side of the ball. A depleted 49ers offense, just not a 49ers offense that we played at all pretty much in the NFC Championship game, like you said last year. No Christian McCaffrey, no Brandon Ayuk, no Jordan Mason. You're missing a lot here. They get their
Trent Williams is out.
Trent Williams is out. They get one of their running backs back this week, Isaac Guerendo, who's actually been pretty solid for them. But you look at the San Francisco 49ers offense, you look at this Detroit Lions defense. What do we have to get? What do we have to stop early on in this game?
Isaac Guerendo. For those of you that don't know him, he's the running back for the Niners. He's averaging, let me pull it up here real fast. He's averaging 5.2 yards per carry. So he's a pretty good back. But after that, too, George Kittle, and Deebo Samuel. And even Juwan Jennings is having a great year for them as well. I mean, this team is depleted, but their offense could score points if you let them score points. They still have some talent.
Absolutely. I mean, this is a defense that still definitely does, or an offense that definitely still has talent. I mean, Guerendo just kind of reminds me just of a prototypical Kyle Shanahan running back. He's literally going to take anyone off the streets and make it work. That's just how Kyle Shanahan operates, right, with the running game. He can literally take anyone off the street and make it work. Now, it's not the same explosiveness as Christian McCaffrey, not the same type of player. Obviously, with Christian McCaffrey, you have to worry about everything with him, in the passing game, the running game, and you don't have that same thing here with Guerendo, but still a very impressive back. And you look at their receiving core without Brandon Ayuk. Deebo Samuel's been having a weird year, not a prototypical Deebo Samuel year. A little more drops than were usually expected than from Deebo. And then Jawan Jennings and Kittle have been better for this team. Kittle's really stepped up for this offense when they needed it. But I think we've seen this year when you start taking away some talent, and you could say this about any quarterback, I feel like, but Brock Purdy has struggled a little bit more once you start taking a little bit of his talent away. There's no McCaffrey, there's no Ayuk, so you're counting on him a little bit more now. I think this is a good matchup for the Lions defense. I know obviously they're a little depleted right now, but getting some guys back with Reeves-Maybin, getting Iffy back for a second game, your secondary is kind of coming in, intact right now. So I don't look at this as a usual 49ers offense here. This is just a little weird year for them. They're dealing with a lot of injuries. They're banged up. They're not playing for much right now. So I expect a good match for the Detroit Lions defense. But like Peter said, they still have some guys. You can't completely sleep on them. But I think for the Lions defense, I think this is a good game to have a good game. So what about you, Malcolm? You look at this Niners offense. You look at this Lions defense. What do you look at here?
Yeah, man. Pierre pretty much said it, man. You got something running game, man. And like you said, man, Kyle Shanahan, he's finding these guys off the street. And
one thing, this guy's a 4th-round pick for them. He wasn't off the street.
Oh, well,
okay, but like he was a 3rd-string running back coming to the year. Like,
either way, he was a 4th-round pick, though.
What I mean by that, they could find, and he got that from his dad, Mike Shanahan. Mike Shanahan was the same way. That he, no matter who's back there, if you're on this roster, you're gonna contribute when your number is called in that running game. So this is the same way with Kyle. Kyle's able to get these guys up and running, no matter if you're the 3rd string, 4th string practice squad guy. If you're on this roster, you're gonna run this damn rock. That's his philosophy, and he got it from his dad, and is rolling. So yeah, definitely stop this running game. And then also, I think a big thing is you don't want to get burned by the quarterback leg by Brock Purdy. We've seen what he was able to do to us last year in the playoff game. And I'm pretty sure Kyle Shanahan is going to take some stuff that worked in that playoff game, and he's going to implement it in this game. And a lot of the stuff that did work was Brock Purdy's legs. And I think you got to keep Brock Purdy in the pocket, and don't let him go out and make plays with his legs. I think that will be huge for Detroit.
Yeah, one thing too, I know the Lions run a lot of man typically. I think today we'll see probably more zone than man personally, just because these guys are good at getting open. Deebo, George Kittle, all those guys. I think we'll see more zone today. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just
I gotta see it to believe it.
That's just my I got
to believe it too.
That's just my thoughts on this game. And their receivers are also good against man coverage as well. So that's just how I see it right now. We'll see. Maybe I'm wrong.
How do you feel about like us running zone? Like, do we feel like when we run zone, like, are we like successful at it? Is it like, are we a good zone team?
It depends if you get pressure or not. If you don't get pressure, you're gonna get killed. If you get some sort of pressure or like some sort of, it just depends.
Yeah, I feel like that's the reason why Aaron Glenn runs so much man, because he doesn't feel like we're a great zone team.
Yeah,
we don't really generate pressure with just our front forward. Just
you gotta,
it is, really.
Yeah, and you gotta play man for this defense to work. Just from the guys they have. I mean, I don't know. Maybe, like you said, maybe he throws a curveball and they should play more zone. But I'm expecting, Brian Branch to be on George Kittle. That's what I'm expecting. Now, if you could put a hand on George Kittle and put a good cover guy on George Kittle, you limit their offense tremendously. And Deebo Samuel hasn't been consistent. He's been dropping passes, looking crazy. I think he had like one touchdown this year.
He's got more than one, but no more than like 3. But yeah, because he had one last week versus Miami. But yeah,
okay.
I think.
But he got his first touchdown like what, 2 weeks ago? Like it was like something recent, right? Like it was.
So talking about Kittle?
No, I'm talking about Deebo.
Oh, so Deebo, yeah.
Deebo had one week 1, right? He had a rushing touchdown, but as far as receiving touchdown, yeah, he only has 2 receiving touchdowns all year. He had one week 6 and one last week 16.
So he has one more than Jared Goff. Got it.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. If you want to put it that way. Yes.
Yeah, he had a great receiving year. So I mean, I think Terry Arnold will be really good on him. We'll see how that goes. I like our man matchup. I really do like our man. If they put these guys correctly in front of these guys, like you put Brian Branch in front of George Kittle and you put Terry Arnold in front of Deebo, I like our matchup.
Juwan Jennings having a good year for them as well.
So Juwan Jennings honestly almost scares me more than Deebo Samuel to a certain
He does.
extent. Like as far as this year, he's been the better receiver than Deebo Samuel.
Yeah.
I mean, I think talent-wise, I think
My
talent-wise, you could definitely argue Deebo is obviously the better player, but I mean, from what we've seen this year, Juwan Jennings has been the better player out of Deebo Samuel. The biggest threat on their offense is definitely George Kittle, though. He's been their best player, most consistent and best player offensively.
Yeah,
by far.
Yeah, I mean, it starts with stopping the run game. You do that, then you force Brock to pass. They kind of lost a little of their deep touch with Ayuk going down, but they still stretched the field a little bit. Brock Purdy doesn't have the strongest arm, but he throws a nice deep ball. Like they're really efficient on their deep ball, so you have to be on top of that as well.
Yeah. I mean, something I think Malcolm brought up is a good point, too. Something that killed us in that NFC Championship game that's an underrated part of Purdy's game is his running game. Like, he could escape that pocket and, he could run a little bit. And that was something that was killing us. Like, every big situation, I feel like we're about to get off the field. He just runs out for 10 yards and go gets a first down. Like, just very, very annoying stuff. And we saw the Lions have a little bit of issue, not with running quarterback, but Caleb Williams last week a little bit. Like, the defense I thought overall was fine, but they had some issues getting off the field. That's something I want to see the Lions improve within these next two games heading into the postseason is just getting off the field. When you get into those third and longs, those fourth down situations, get off the field. I mean, that's something they had an issue with last week. So hopefully they can correct that this week going into this game versus the 49ers.
Yep.
Okay. Let's do our Lions picks. Obviously, no locks of the week. Well, we did locks of the week yesterday. Malcolm, my goodness, bro, what is going on? What is going on?
We didn't do it. We do locks of the week last week. We talk
about. Did mine hit last night too?
Malcolm, Peter, we did our job. Let's just say that I did my job. You did your job. Malcolm did not do his job.
So that means, Malcolm, you're third again next week when you pick because you lost again.
Let me tell you what happened, guys. I have an excuse. All right, why my year is not going as well as it normally does.
No.
You ever seen the movie Space Jams?
Yes.
When the aliens comes and they steal their talents, I feel like one of the little aliens came and stole my gambling talents. the little aliens came and stole my gambling talents, and now I'm picking on the wrong teams. So I think that's what's going on right now, man. I've been picking wrong teams left and right.
Yeah, I mean, you got killed last week. Just, I guess, we'll announce them. So Pierre took Washington -3.5 over Atlanta. That was a banger of a game. Washington ended up covering that overtime. I took the Vikings -1 over Green Bay, and then you took the Panthers +10 versus Tampa Bay, which was just it was a blowout. We'll leave it at that. All right, let's get into these Lions picks now. Let's not start off with Malcolm because he's not on a hot streak. Let's start off with Pierre, who was a winner last week. Pierre, what do you like in this game? Spread is at 3.5 when I last checked.
It just went up to 4 on ESPN.
Okay.
What's it by you?
Let's go with 3.5 because that's what I've been seeing all week.
Okay, anyways, I got Lions covering. Don't matter. 31-17.
Okay, so yeah, that doesn't matter if it's 3.5 or 4. You have them regardless. So 31-17. What's your bold prediction?
Shit, I didn't think of Zadarius. So Zadarius Smith has like a 250 incentive. He has 2 sacks, and I think 500,000 gets 4 more sacks. So Zadarius Smith gets 1.5 sacks today, and Levi Ondriki has his best game, gets 2 sacks. Let's go.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I'll go next because Malcolm's going to be last this week because he deserved it after that Panthers pick last week. So for my pick this week, I think the Lions win. I think the Lions cover. I think we see Hendon Hooker in the fourth quarter. And the score is going to be, let's go 31-21 Detroit. Bold prediction. Craig Reynolds, Jamar Jefferson. 1 touchdown each for both those boys.
Okay. I like that.
Wow.
All right. That's a bold prediction. Malcolm, what you got?
So yeah, I'm going. I'm following your train. I think the Detroit Lions win. I think they cover. I think they blow out. I think we see some backups in the fourth quarter. I'm gonna go with 42-17 Lions. And no disrespect to the Niners, I just think the Lions have a bad taste in their mouth, and they're gonna really give it to them for giving us the boot last year. My bold prediction. Damn, I ain't really go into this one. All right, let's just go Turner Arnold. Turner Arnold has no picks. So let's just say he gets a pick 6 today.
Okay.
All right, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah, pick six, Aaron Arnold. Let's go.
There we go. All right. That is going to be a wrap. Hope you guys all enjoyed. We will see you guys post game. Hopefully celebrating a W. And then maybe we'll preview the Vikings game a little bit. So we'll see you guys after the game. Peace.
All right, guys. I'm out. Peace.
Boy Malcolm, and I am out. Peace.